So here we are at problem 3, capital C from the AP summer packet. We have the limit as x approaches 0 of this particular expression. Now, it may come to mind that some might want to try using like that shortcut. Unfortunately, though, I just wanted to specify something, and I'll reiterate this in class, of course. But the shortcut really only works as x is approaching infinity. And because we don't quite have that case, it's in fact approaching a number, we can't quite use that. Now, a different option, though, that we can do is maybe multiplying by that conjugate. Again, with radicals, a lot of times that's a solid go-to. So we're going to go ahead then and multiply this by the square root of x plus 2 plus the square root of 2 minus x over the square root of x plus 2 plus the square root of 2 minus x. So then we have the limit as x approaches 0 of, if we go ahead now and FOIL this top piece, pretty much you have this square root of x plus 2 being multiplied by itself. So then we have the square root of x plus 2 quantity squared. When I multiply the outer and the inner, they actually end up canceling because one is a negative and one is a positive. And as a result, they'll just end up canceling with one another. Finally, when we multiply the last two, we end up with a negative times positive is a negative, square root of 2 minus x times the square root of 2 minus x, just as the same thing as saying the square root of 2 minus x, quantity squared. And this is all over. Again, as always, I don't usually normally multiply those bottoms, so I just kind of leave those alone. So we have x times the square root of x plus 2 plus the square root of 2 minus x. Now on the top, so we have the limit as x is approaching 0 still. On the top, this square root and squared actually end up dropping out and canceling with one another just because they are inverses. And you're just left with what was underneath, so that x plus 2. Same thing will actually end up happening here as well. So then we end up with minus this 2 minus x. And again, this is all over that x times the square root of x plus 2 plus the square root of 2 minus x. So at this point, we can go ahead then and rewrite this limit and combine some like terms on top. We have x minus really negative x, so that just comes out to be a positive x. So x really plus x gives us 2x. And then also we have 2 minus 2. Well, those will just drop out and cancel out. On the bottom, we still have our x times the square root of x plus 2 plus the square root of 2 minus x. And from here, hopefully you can see that these x's end up dropping out. And again, that was the issue from the very beginning, was that x on the bottom. So it's good that we can cancel him out. So we have the limit as x approaches 0 of 2 on top all over this square root of x plus 2 plus the square root of 2 minus x. Now if we go ahead and try that direct evaluation, let's see what we end up with. So we have 2 on top still, all over. Plugging in that 0, we end up with the square root of 2 plus 2 minus 0, that's just the square root of 2. And so it looks like we end up then with 2 on top still over 2 square root of 2's, in which case that can simplify out to be 1 over square root of 2. Now, a lot of your pre-calc teacher especially would say, hey, you can't have a radical in the bottom, and especially like your algebra classes too. So one way that we can fix this is just doing that from foo that we've seen. So we end up with the square root of 2 on top over 2. So that would be our limit for, again, problem 3, capital, should be, I want to make sure though. Yeah, capital C.